The scanner blinked red 3 times before settling into that angry crimson glow that meant absolutely nothing good was about to happen.
I stared at it, blinked my secondary eyelids. Stared some more.
Instructor Vrel, I raised one tentacle, the polite one I saved for not wanting to die. The combat assessment scanner is having opinion. Instructor Vrel, all 7 feet of scaled Catharian muscle and bad attitude, turned one golden eye toward me. The other eye stayed locked on the human standing in the center of the training circle. Cadet Mep, if I wanted your commentary, I would have asked for it. Which I did not. Right? Yes? Absolutely. I lowered my tentacle. Except the scanner is saying threat level crimson, which according to the manual means we should evacuate the facility and call for orbital support, so I'd maybe. The scanner, Rel interrupted, his tail doing that annoyed twitch that usually came right before someone got extra combat drills, is calibrated for normal species. That is a human. The human in question, a female specimen named Kira Vance, stood with her arms crossed, looking about as concerned as a Glorbinian sleeps during hibernation season, which is to say, not at all. She was small by galactic standards, barely 6 feet tall. No natural armor plating, no venom sacs, no plasma generation organs, nothing, just soft skin, dark hair tied back in what humans called a ponytail, and eyes the color of a Terran sky that somehow managed to look both bored and wildly amused at the same time. Threat assessment, the scanner's artificial voice droned. Because apparently today was the day I died, do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. Recommend immediate tactical withdrawal. Riz's tail twitched harder. Override. Unable to override. Threat level crimson. This is not a drill. Do not engage. Vrela smashed the scanner console with one clawed fist. Sparks flew. The warning lights died. Problem solved, apparently. Cadet Vance, Vrel said, turning back to the human with the kind of smile that showed way too many teeth. You will demonstrate standard defensive techniques against blade attacks. I will be using a training sword. It is weighted and edged to simulate real combat conditions. Do you understand? Kira uncrossed her arms, rolled her shoulders. Did this little neck crack thing that made 3 other cadets in the observation area flinch? Sure, teach. Let's dance. You may use any defensive equipment from the wall. Lafrel gestured to the rack of shields, arm guards, and various protective gear that lined the training room. Kira glanced at the equipment, then back at Vrela. Then she grinned, and I swear on my ancestors' spawning pools, that grin made my survival instincts scream, "Nah, I'm good." You are good, Vrela repeated slowly. Yep. You intend to face blade combat with no protective equipment. That is correct. This is acceptable to you, totally. I looked at the other cadets in the observation area. Hazex, a 4-armed Quellan, had gone pale green. Torva, who was basically a sentient rock formation with anger issues, had taken 3 steps back from the reinforced viewing window. Even Jock, the Saurian exchange student who thought everything was hilarious, looked concerned. This is insane, I whispered to Zix. Humans do not have regeneration abilities. If Rel cuts her, she will bleed, possibly die. I heard they heal slowly too, Zix whispered back. Like over weeks, not minutes. That is horrifying. That is humans. Down in the training circle, Reled had retrieved his practice sword. It was 3 feet of folded durasteel, sharp enough to cut through most light armor, heavy enough to shatter bone. He held it in a standard guard position. Professional, controlled. Begin when ready, cadet. Kira did not move into any recognizable guard position. She just stood there, loose, relaxed, hands at her sides, waiting. Rel's eyes narrowed. You are not even going to assume a defensive stance. Oh, I am defensive, Kira said. I'm just not obvious about it. And then Verhal moved. Now, Instructor Vrel was not just any random military washout teaching basic classes. He had 17 years of active combat experience, 3 tours in the peripheral wars, a medal for single-handedly holding a bunker against a Kresh assault squad. When Vrel moved, he moved fast, trained, lethal. The blade came down in a controlled diagonal strike aimed at Kira's shoulder. Non-lethal, but definitely going to hurt, going to teach a lesson about respecting combat protocols. Kira's hand came up. Just her hand, no shield. No weapon. No armor plating. Bare skin against folded durasteel moving at combat speed. "Oh, gods," I heard myself say. And then Kira caught the blade. Not blocked. Not deflected. Caught. Her hand closed around the sharp edge of the sword, palm making contact with the blade itself, and the weapon stopped. Just stopped. Like it had hit a wall. Like physics had looked at the situation and decided, you know what, not today. The training room went silent. Vrella's other eye finally focused on what was happening. Both eyes wide. Shocked. Kira stood there, holding the blade with one hand, blood running down her palm where the edge bit into her skin. Not a lot of blood, just enough to prove that yes, metal had definitely met flesh. Yes, it should have cut through. It had not cut through. "So," Kira said conversationally, like she was discussing weather, "are we doing the thing where you try to pull the sword away and I do not let you, or do we skip to the part where I demonstrate why the scanner was correct?" Drell pulled. The sword did not move. He pulled harder, muscles straining under his scales. Professional combat veteran putting actual effort into retrieving his weapon. The sword remained exactly where Kira's bleeding hand held it. She was not even bracing, not leaning back or using leverage, just standing there, holding. "What are you?" Vrella's voice had gone very quiet. "Currently." Kira tilted her head. "I am mildly annoyed that you ignored the scanner. That thing was expensive. Good scanners cost money. You just broke it. The blade should have cut your hand off." "Yeah, well," Kira shrugged. "Humans are weird about the whole should thing. We tend to ignore it when it is inconvenient." And then she moved. I almost missed it. One moment she was standing there holding the blade. The next moment she had stepped inside Vrail's guard, twisted, and the instructor was on his back on the training mat with his own sword at his throat. Kira stood over him, not even breathing hard, blood still dripping from her hand holding 3 feet of combat steel like it weighed nothing. "Engage anyway," she said. "That was your call." "So, are we engaged?" "Training halt." Rella's voice was strained, professional. "But strained." "Cadet Vance, you will step back and report to medical for hand treatment." Kira raised an eyebrow, looked at her bleeding palm, shrugged, dropped the sword. It hit the mat with a metallic clang. "Sure thing, Teach. Good session." She walked toward the exit, past the observation window where all of us cadets were pressed against the glass like we had never seen anything interesting in our lives. As she passed, she caught my eye, winged it. Actually winked. I felt my chromatophores flash through 6 colors of panic. The door slid shut behind her. For about 10 seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. We all just stood there, processing what we had witnessed. Then Torva, the sentient rock formation, said what we were all thinking. What in the name of the great void was that? Instructor Vrol got to his feet slowly, picked up his sword, examined it. The blade had a clear handprint dented into the metal. Not scratched, dented. Like someone had pressed soft clay, except it was durasteel. "That," Vrel said quietly, "was a human, and that is why the scanner said do not engage." "But she caught a blade," Zix said, "with her hand, her soft, fleshy, definitely not armored hand." "Yes." "That is impossible." "Apparently not." "I need to sit down," I said. "You are a molluscoid," Torva pointed out. "You do not have a sitting posture." "Then I need to pool on the floor in existential crisis." "Same thing." Jack, the Saurian who found everything funny, was not laughing. He was staring at the training circle with his crest fully extended, which for Saurians meant either extreme aggression or extreme fear. Possibly both. "My combat instructor back home always said humans were dangerous." I thought he was exaggerating. "They all say that," Zix muttered. "Every species that has fought with or against humans says the same thing. Dangerous, unpredictable, slightly insane." "Slightly?" I demanded. Brule was still examining his sword, the handprint dented into the blade. "Class dismissed. All of you, out." We did not need to be told twice. The corridor outside the training room was chaos. Word had already spread. Cadets from other classes were clustering around, asking questions, demanding details. Apparently half the security feeds in the building had been watching the session. "Is it true she caught the blade? Did Vrel actually hit the mat?" "I heard she broke his sword." "No." She just dented it with her bare hand, which is somehow worse. I tried to navigate through the crowd, which was difficult when you are mostly tentacles and everyone else has pushy leg structures. Someone grabbed one of my appendages. It was Kira. She had found the medical station, apparently. Her hand was wrapped in clean white bandaging. She looked entirely too calm for someone who had just redefined my understanding of physical possibility. "Hey, Mip, right?" She smiled. "You were the one watching the scanner." "Ah, yes. That was. You should not have. How did you—" Words were difficult. My translator was struggling. "Your hand—" "Oh, this?" She held up the bandaged appendage. "It is fine. Barely even needed stitches." "Well, okay, it needed 7 stitches, but that is barely any stitches." 7 stitches is a significant medical intervention. Is it, though? "Yes. Objectively, yes." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You are fun. Listen, I wanted to apologize. I did not mean to freak everyone out. Rel was pushing, and I have this thing where people push me, and I push back. It is a whole situation." "You caught a sword." "I did." "With your hand?" "Yep." "Your soft, unarmored, definitely not blade-proof hand." "That is the one." "How?" Kira's smile got wider. "Trade secret. But hey, if it makes you feel better, my hand hurts like hell. That blade was sharp. I do not recommend trying that at home. I do not have hands. I have tentacles. Then definitely do not try it with tentacles." "That sounds messy." Someone pushed through the crowd. It was Zix, with Torva lumbering behind. They both stopped when they saw Kira, like she might suddenly demonstrate more impossible things. "Cadet Vance," Zix said carefully. "That was the most frightening combat display I have witnessed in my 3 years at this academy." "Thanks," Kira beamed. "I think." "How did you do it?" Torva's voice rumbled like grinding stones. "My people have natural armor. It takes significant force to damage us. You are soft, fragile. Humans break easily. Do we, though?" Kira asked. "All the medical texts say so." "Medical texts are great. Love medical texts. But here is the thing about humans." She leaned in conspiratorially, and we all leaned in too, like she was about to reveal the secret of the universe. "We are very bad at knowing when we should give up. It is kind of our whole deal. Someone tells us something is impossible, and we hear that as a challenge. You say the blade should cut through our hand. Cool. We will figure out how to stop it anyway." "But physics," I protested weakly. "Physics is more like guidelines." "That is not how physics works." "Sure it is. Everything is negotiable if you are stubborn enough." Torva made a sound like rocks tumbling down a cliff face. Possibly laughter. Possibly horror. The scanner said threat level crimson. "Do not engage." It was right. Scanners usually are, Kira agreed. They are good at math, threat assessment, probability calculations, but they do not account for the human factor. "What is the human factor?" Zix asked. Kira's grin was sharp. "The part where we look at the impossible thing and decide to do it anyway just to see what happens." An announcement chimed through the corridor speakers. "All cadets report to the main briefing hall. Mandatory assembly in 10 minutes. Attendance is required." The crowd started moving. Kira waved her bandaged hand. "That is my cue. See you guys around. Try not to worry too much. I promise I am mostly harmless." "Mostly," I called after her. She just laughed and disappeared into the flow of cadets heading toward the briefing hall. Zix, Torva, and I stood there for a moment processing. "I am transferring to a different training group," Zix announced. "One without humans." "There are no training groups without humans," Torva said. "They are in every division now. Integration protocols." "Then I am transferring to a different academy." "There are humans at every academy." "Then I am dropping out and becoming a moisture farmer." "I hear humans farm moisture too," I added helpfully, "very efficiently. They dominate the agricultural markets on 12 systems." Zix made us sound like deflating airbags. "We are doomed." "Probably," Torva agreed. We headed toward the briefing hall with the rest of the student body. The corridors were packed. Everyone was talking about Kira, about the blade, about how Vrela's sword had a handprint dented into the metal. The briefing hall was huge, tiered seating arranged around a central platform. Hundreds of cadets filed in, finding their designated sections. The noise was incredible, voices overlapping in a dozen languages, translators working overtime. I found a spot in the molluscoid section, which was basically a sloped pool where we could comfortably rest our ambulatory mass. Comfortable-ish academy seating was never actually comfortable. The lights dimmed. Commandant Thex walked onto the platform. But Seer was old, by Krethian standards, which meant really old by most species standards. His carapace had the deep purple coloration that came with age and experience. One of his primary arms was cybernetic, a souvenir from some war I was too young to remember. Cadets, his voice boomed across the hall. Krethians did not need microphones. They just projected, "You are all here because you represent the next generation of the Galactic Defense Initiative. You come from 43 different worlds, 62 different species. Each of you brings unique strengths to our combined forces." Standard inspirational speech. I had heard this before, most of us had. However, Thax continued, and his tone shifted. Got serious. Recent events have required us to adapt our training protocols, specifically protocols regarding human integration. The hall got quieter. Many of you witnessed today's combat demonstration. Cadet Kira Vance successfully defended against an instructor-level blade attack using unconventional methods. Unconventional. That was one word for it. This has prompted questions, concerns. Some of you are frightened. This is understandable. Humans are unusual. They do not fit standard threat assessment models. They exceed predicted performance parameters regularly. An image appeared on the screen behind Thaxic. It showed Kira frozen mid-motion, hand wrapped around Vrail's blade. The image quality was perfect, every detail visible. The blood on her palm, the dent forming in the metal, the absolutely calm expression on her face. "This is not normal," Thex said. "By conventional standards, this should be impossible. The blade should have severed her hand. She should have been critically injured. Instead, she disarmed a decorated combat instructor and walked away with minor lacerations." He let that sink in. Humans have been part of the Galactic Defense Initiative for 8 years now. In that time, they have consistently exceeded expectations. They survive injuries that would kill most species. They operate under stress conditions that would break others. They adapt, improvise, and refuse to accept defeat even when mathematically they should. Another image. This one showed a human soldier, male, standing in front of a collapsed bunker. His armor was shredded. He was covered in injuries. But he was standing, weapon raised, between the bunker and an advancing enemy force. This is Sergeant Marcus Webb. 3 months ago, during the defense of Outpost Gamma, his unit was overrun. Everyone else died. Webb held the position alone for 6 hours against a Kresh assault company. He should have died in the first 5 minutes. He did not. He is recovering in medical. He will return to active duty next month. A third image. A human female, older, with gray hair and scars across her face. Captain Lisa Torres. She walked 17 kilometers through a toxic atmosphere carrying 2 wounded squad members after their transport crashed. The atmosphere should have killed her in minutes. She made it to the evacuation point in 4 hours. All 3 survived. Image after image. Humans doing impossible things, surviving impossible situations, winning impossible fights. "You need to understand," Vex said quietly, and somehow the quiet was more intense than the booming, "that humans are not like us. They do not calculate odds before acting. They do not accept limitations. They look at situations that would make any sane species retreat, and they decide to try anyway." He turned to face the crowd directly. All those cadet faces staring back. The scanners are correct. Threat level crimson is appropriate. Humans are dangerous, not because they are aggressive, not because they want to cause harm, but because they refuse to stop. They refuse to quit. They refuse to die when they should. The hall was silent now. Everyone listening. Your training will be adjusted. You will learn to work alongside humans. You will learn their methods. You will learn their perspective. And you will learn that sometimes the impossible is just the starting point. Thax gestured, and Kira walked onto the platform. Her bandaged hand hung at her side. She looked uncomfortable with the attention but smiled anyway, waved with her good hand. Cadet Vance has volunteered to help develop new training protocols. She will be demonstrating human combat methodology. Some of you will train directly with her. Others will study her techniques. All of you will learn. Kira took the microphone. Hey everyone. So, today was intense. I know a lot of you are freaked out. That is fair. I would be freaked out too if I saw someone do what I did. But here is the thing. I am not special. Well, okay, my mom says I am special, but that is a mom thing. What I mean is any human could do what I did. You're all kind of built weird. She held up her bandaged hand. This hurts. A lot. I am not immune to pain. I am not invulnerable. That blade cut me. I bled. I will have a scar. But I chose to catch it anyway because the alternative was getting hit, and I really do not like getting hit. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Humans have this saying. Kira continued. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. It is stupid. It does not make grammatical sense. But it is true. When things get hard, we do not back down. We lean in. We figure it out. We adapt. And yeah, sometimes we do crazy things like catching swords barehanded because the scanner said not to engage, and we heard that as engage anyway. More laughter. Less nervous this time. So if you are training with me or with any human, just remember, we are not trying to scare you. We are not trying to show off. Well, okay, sometimes we are showing off a little bit, but mostly we are just doing what comes naturally. Pushing limits. Testing boundaries. Being stubborn about reality. She grinned. And if that makes us threat level crimson, well, I will take it. See you all in training. She handed the microphone back and walked off the platform. Commandant Thex watched her go, then turned back to us. Dismissed. Training schedules will be updated tomorrow. Check your personal devices for assignments. The lights came up. Cadets started moving, filing out of the hall. The noise level exploded as everyone started talking at once. I made my way toward the exit. Lost in thought. Threat level crimson. Engage anyway. Humans. What had the galaxy gotten itself into when it decided to recruit these insane, impossible, wonderful, terrifying creatures? And more importantly, what was going to happen when we actually had to fight alongside them? I had a feeling we were all about to find out. And part of me, a small, reckless part that maybe understood humans better than I wanted to admit, was actually excited to see what happened next, even if the scanner would probably tell me not to be. Training schedules updated at 0600 hours the next morning. I checked my personal device while still half submerged in my sleeping pool, because apparently the universe hated me and wanted me awake at unreasonable times. Combat Integration Protocols. Advanced Level. Instructor, Cadet Kira Vance. Location, Training Complex. Delta. Time, 0. I made a sound that my species uses to express profound displeasure with existence. It translated roughly to "Why do the gods mock me specifically?" Zix messaged me 3 seconds later. Did you see? I saw. We are in the same session. I know. We are going to die. Probably. I did not join the military to die in training. Nobody does, Zix. That is why they call it irony. I dragged myself out of the sleeping pool, went through my morning routine, which mostly involved absorbing nutrients and questioning my life choices, and headed toward Training Complex Delta. The complex was on the far side of campus, which meant a 15-minute walk through corridors filled with other cadets who all looked varying degrees of terrified. Word had spread fast. Everyone knew about the human combat training. Everyone had opinions. I heard she is going to make us catch bullets, someone whispered. That is stupid. Bullets move faster than blades. Exactly. That is why it is more advanced. I hate it here. Training Complex Delta turned out to be the largest facility on campus. 3 levels, multiple training zones, enough space to simulate actual combat scenarios. The entrance was marked with a holographic display showing today's schedule. Combat Integration Protocols. Advanced level participants, 20 cadets. Survival rate to be determined. That last line was new and concerning. I found Zix waiting by the entrance. All 4 of their arms were twitching nervously. This is a mistake. We should fake an injury. Sudden onset gill rot. Very contagious. Completely believable. You do not have gills. They do not know that. Zix, you are a Quallen. Your species is famous for not having gills. There are entire biology texts about it. Fine. Sudden onset scale fungus. You do not have scales either. I am having a medical emergency of some kind. The details are not important. Get inside, both of you. Dorfa rumbled up behind us, their rock formation bodies somehow looking even more solid than usual. If we are doing this, we are doing it properly. No cowardice. Bravery is just cowardice that has not realized how stupid it is being, Zix muttered, but they followed us inside. The training hall was massive. The ceiling stretched up 3 stories. The floor was reinforced combat matting. Equipment lined the walls, weapons racks, shield generators, medical stations positioned at strategic intervals because apparently even the academy expected casualties. 19 other cadets were already there, clustered in nervous groups. I recognized most of them. Jack the Saurian. 3 Crethians from advanced tactics class, a pair of Vexian twins who could share thoughts telepathically, which seemed like a massive advantage until you realized they also shared panic. 5 humans. Wait, 5 humans? I counted again. Yes, 5, including Kira, who stood at the front of the hall wearing standard training gear and looking far too cheerful for someone about to teach weapons combat to species that mostly wanted to run away. The other 4 humans were spread throughout the cadet groups, 2 males, 2 females. All of them had that same relaxed posture that Kira had, that dangerous calm that my instincts really did not like. Good morning, Kira's voice carried across the hall. Everyone find a spot on the mat, make a circle, come on, do not be shy. I promise I only bite on Tuesdays, and today is Thursday. That is not reassuring, Zix whispered. It was a joke, I whispered back. Was it though? We arranged ourselves in a rough circle. Kira walked to the center, the other 4 humans spacing themselves around the perimeter. Strategic positioning. They were surrounding us. That seemed ominous. Okay, Kira began. Welcome to Combat Integration Protocols. This is not a normal training session. We are not going to drill standard techniques. We are not going to practice by-the-book maneuvers. Instead, we are going to learn how humans fight, and more importantly, why we fight the way we do. She held up her bandaged hand. The wrapping was fresh, white, clean. Yesterday I caught Instructor Vrella's blade. Many of you saw it. Some of you are still processing it. That is fine. Processing is good. But here is what I want you to understand. I did not catch that blade because I am special. I caught it because I refused to let it hit me. One of the Crethians raised a claw. But the blade should have cut through your hand. Basic physics. Force equals mass times acceleration. The sword had both. You are absolutely right, Kira agreed. It should have. By every reasonable calculation, I should be missing fingers right now. But here is the secret. She leaned forward conspiratorially. Humans are really bad at accepting what should happen. We prefer to focus on what we want to happen, and then we make reality negotiate. That is insane, the Crethian said. Yes, Kira beamed. Yes, it is. Welcome to humanity. We specialize in insane. Now, everyone partner up. Human with non-human. We are going to do some exercises. The humans moved into the circle. I found myself paired with one of the human males. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark skin and eyes that seemed to see right through my defensive chromatophore. Hey there, he said, extending a hand. Name is Devon Grant. Nice to meet you. I extended a tentacle, which he shook gently. His grip was firm but not crushing. Controlled. Mip. I am extremely nervous. Devon laughed. Good instincts. But do not worry. We are not here to hurt anyone. We are here to teach. Big difference. You realize your species has a reputation. Oh, we know. It is hilarious. Last week someone told me humans eat rocks for fun. Do you? I mean, not normally. But there was this one time in survival training. He grinned. Kidding. Mostly. Okay, let's start with something simple. I want you to try to push me over. I stared at him. What? Push me. Use your tentacles. Try to knock me down. Why? Because it is a useful exercise in understanding force distribution and balance. Also because it is funny when people realize they cannot. This seemed like a terrible idea, but Kira was watching, and backing out now would be embarrassing. I wrapped 2 tentacles around Devon's torso and pulled, applied pressure. Used my considerable molluscoid strength, which was not insignificant. We could lift 3 times our body weight when properly motivated. Devon did not move. I pulled harder. Still nothing. How? I demanded. Stance. Devon explained. Weight distribution. Humans have excellent balance. We evolved as persistence hunters. We are built to stay upright while moving fast over rough terrain. Knocking us over takes specific technique. Around the circle, other cadets were having similar experiences. Six was trying to push their human partner and failing. Torfel had actually picked up their human and was holding them off the ground, but the human was laughing and doing some kind of upside-down exercise routine. Okay, Kira called out. Switch. Now humans try to push you over. Devon smiled apologetically. Sorry about this. He placed both hands on my central mass and pushed gently. Just a light pressure. I went sliding backward across the mat like I was on ice. How? I repeated because apparently that was my new catchphrase. Leverage, Devon said. Your species has great grip strength but poor lateral stability. Humans learn to exploit weaknesses. It is kind of our thing. Everything is your thing. Fair point. Kira clapped her hands. Good, everyone is learning. Now we level up. Humans, I want you to attack your partners, non-lethally. Just standard grab or strike. Partners, I want you to defend however you normally would. This is going to hurt, Six moaned. Only if you tense up, Kira called back cheerfully. Stay loose. Adapt. Think like water. I am not water. I am a solid form carbon-based life structure. Then think like flexible carbon. Devon looked at me seriously. Ready? I am going to come at you like I am trying to grab. You defend however makes sense. I nodded, or did the molluscoid equivalent, which was a full-body color shift to indicate readiness. Devon moved. Fast. Not as fast as Instructor Vralical, but faster than any human should be able to move. His hand came toward my sensory stalks. My instinct took over. I dodged left, extended 3 tentacles to intercept, tried to wrap and immobilize like we were taught. Devon twisted mid-motion, redirected, and suddenly I was wrapped around nothing, while he tapped my central mass 3 times. Contact. You are neutralized. That was 1 second. 1.3 seconds, actually. How did you twist like that? Humans do not have flexible spines. We have flexible enough spines, and we cheat a lot. Want to go again? We went again. And again. And again. Each time, Devon moved differently, changed his approach, adapted, and each time I ended up neutralized within seconds. Around the circle, similar scenes played out. The human partners were systematically dismantling every defensive technique we knew, not through overwhelming force, through adaptation, through unpredictability, through refusing to follow the patterns we expected. Stop, Kira called out after the 10th round. Everyone freeze. Look around. What do you notice? That we are terrible at this. Jack offered. No. Well, yes, but that is not the point. The point is, you are all trying to defend using standard techniques, predictable movements, established patterns. Humans do not care about your patterns. We break them. So you need to learn to break your own patterns first. She walked to the center. Humans succeed in combat because we do not have one fighting style. We have all of them. We adapt mid-fight. We steal techniques from every species we encounter. We improvise. And most importantly, we refuse to give up even when we are losing. One of the Vexian twins raised a hand, but adaptation takes time. Training. How do humans do it so fast? Kira's smile was sharp, because for humans, losing means dying, and we are really, really opposed to dying. So we learn fast. We adapt or we perish. And somehow, usually, we adapt. She gestured to the equipment along the walls. Okay, next exercise. Everyone grab a weapon. Any weapon. Something you are comfortable with. Humans, you will spar with your partners. Non-lethal contact only. First to 3 touches wins. But here is the twist. Humans, you are not allowed to use your hands. Devon raised an eyebrow. Not allowed to use hands? Nope. Elbows, knees, feet, shoulders, head, whatever. But no hands. Let's make it interesting. You realize this puts us at a disadvantage. One of the other human males said. Yes, that is the point. Show them how humans adapt when we are disadvantaged. I selected a training staff from the weapons rack, 2 meters long, balanced, familiar. I had trained with staffs for 2 years. I was competent. maybe even good. Devon did not select a weapon. He just stretched, rolled his shoulders, and smiled. Ready when you are. You have no weapon. I have 2 legs and a terrible sense of self-preservation. That counts. Kira gave the signal. Begin. I moved forward, staff extended, going for a standard thrust towards center mass. Non-lethal but effective. Devon sidestepped. His leg came up, kicked. Not at me, at the staff. The weapon went flying out of my grip.
What?
Kicks are versatile, Devon said cheerfully, then closed the distance and tapped my sensory stalks with his elbow. 1. I retrieved the staff. Tried again. This time I kept it closer, used shorter strikes, made it harder to disarm. Devon ducked under a swing, pivoted, and used his shoulder to bump me off balance. Tapped me with his knee. This is completely unfair. Yes, humans specialize in unfair. That is the lesson. The third touch came when I tried to sweep his legs. He jumped, somehow twisted in midair, and landed with 1 foot tapping my central mass. 3. Good effort though, your staff work is solid. Around us, other matches were finishing. Every single human had won. Every single non-human cadet looked frustrated, confused, and slightly impressed despite themselves. Kira surveyed the results. Good, everyone is learning. Now we reverse. Humans get weapons. Partners, you defend without weapons. Let's see what happens. This is going to be worse, Zix predicted. They were correct. The humans moved differently with weapons. Not like trained soldiers following doctrine, like predators that had found new claws. Kira wielded a short blade with casual competence that made my survival instincts scream. Devon picked up a staff and suddenly moved like the weapon was part of his body. The other humans were similarly transformed, each one adapting their style to match their chosen weapon. 3 minutes later we were all sitting on the mat, breathing hard, while the humans looked barely winded. Okay, Kira said, putting away her blade. Pop quiz. What did you learn? Silence. Come on. Someone. Anyone. What did you learn? Her voice rumbled. That humans are terrifying and we should never fight them if we can avoid it? Close. But not quite. Jock, what about you? Jock's crest was fully extended. That adaptation is more valuable than raw strength. Better. Zix? That I should have faked gill rot. Laughter rippled through the group. Even Kira smiled. Points for honesty. Mep, what about you? I thought about it. About Devon disarming me. About the way he moved without hands. About how the humans won not through superior strength but through refusing to be limited. That limitations are negotiable, I said slowly. You told Devon he could not use hands. That should have been a massive disadvantage. But he just found other ways to win. You did not let the limitations stop you. Kira pointed at me. Exactly. That is the human factor right there. We do not accept limitations as final. We work around them, through them, over them, whatever it takes, and that is what we are going to teach you. She gestured for everyone to stand, because here is the truth. You all have advantages. Natural armor, venom, multiple limbs, telepathy, abilities humans do not have. But you are so focused on working within your natural advantages that you forget to develop beyond them. Humans do not have that problem. We have almost no natural advantages, so we learn to create our own. One of the Crethians spoke up. But how do we learn this? Adaptation is not something you can train in a few sessions. You are right, Kira agreed. It takes time, practice, failure, lots of failure. But we are going to start, right now. New exercise. Free sparring, everyone against everyone, humans included. No partners, no rules except no permanent damage. Last person standing wins. Ready? Wait, what? Multiple voices, including mine. Go! Chaos erupted. 20 cadets suddenly trying to neutralize each other in a massive free-for-all. Bodies colliding, tentacles wrapping, claws swiping. The humans moved through it like they were dancing, fluid and controlled while everyone else panicked. I found myself facing one of the Vexian twins. They had the advantage of shared consciousness, could coordinate perfectly, but I had more mass and better reach. We circled each other, both cautious. Then Devon appeared behind the twin and tapped them out. Sorry, nothing personal. The twin sat down, eliminated. Devon grinned at me. Alliance? Against who? Everyone. Temporary truce. We take out the others together. Then we settle it one-on-one. It went against every tactical doctrine I had learned. You did not ally with the most dangerous combatant. You eliminated them first. But that was conventional thinking. And humans did not do conventional. Deal, I said. We moved together. Devan's speed and unpredictability combined with my reach and strength. We caught Chak in a pincer movement, neutralized two of the Krethians working together, even managed to tangle up Torva, which took both of us and was frankly terrifying because angry sentient rocks hit hard. The numbers dwindled. 10 combatants became 5. 5 became 3. Me, Devan, and Kira. Devan looked at Kira. We had a deal, right? We did, she confirmed. Cool. He turned to me. Sorry, Map. Alliance over. He moved. I tried to counter, but Devan had been studying my patterns for the last hour, knew exactly how I would respond, and tagged me out in 3 moves. You are terrible, I called from the sidelines. I know, it is great. Devan and Kira faced each other, the last two standing. Human versus human. They bowed, formal, respectful. Then they exploded into motion. It was the most incredible combat display I had ever witnessed. They moved faster than seemed possible, trading strikes and counters, neither giving ground. Devan had reach advantage. Kira had slightly better They adapted constantly, changing tactics mid-strike, responding to movements before they happened. It lasted 47 seconds. Kira won. Barely. Devan sat down on the mat, breathing hard but grinning. Good match. You nearly had me with that elbow feint. Nearly only counts in orbital bombardment. Kira helped him up, then addressed the whole group. That, what you just saw, that is human combat. Constant adaptation, no wasted movement, absolute refusal to quit, and most importantly, learning from every single exchange. She walked to where I sat, offered a hand. I took it with a tentacle and she pulled me up. You did well, Nullis. That alliance with Devan was smart, unconventional, human-style thinking. It did not work. It worked better than fighting alone would have. You lasted longer than anyone except Devan. That is progress. The training session continued for another 3 hours. More sparring, more exercises, more humans casually demonstrating that everything we thought we knew about combat was incomplete. By the end, we were exhausted. Every cadet sprawled across the mats, muscles aching, pride wounded, but somehow feeling like we had learned something valuable. Kira stood at the center one last time. Final lesson. For today, humans are dangerous. The scanners are right about that, but we are dangerous because we refuse to accept defeat, because we adapt, because we look at impossible situations and decide they are just difficult situations we have not solved yet. She smiled. And now you know our secrets. You have seen how we move, how we think, how we fight, which means you can start thinking the same way. You can start adapting. You can start refusing to accept limitations. Question, Jack called out. If we learn to fight like humans, does that make us human? No, Kira said. It makes you better than you were, and that is the whole point. Commandant Thax entered the training hall. His timing was impeccable, which meant he had probably been watching the whole session. Cadet Vance, report. Kira snapped to attention. Training objectives achieved, sir. All participants survived. Minimal injuries. Maximum learning. I saw. Lex looked at the assembled cadets. All of us still on the mat, too tired to stand properly. You have all just completed what we are calling Phase 1 of human integration. Congratulations. You live. Is there a Phase 2? Zix asked weakly. There is Phase 2 through Phase 10, Thax said. Each progressively more challenging, but that is for later. Right now you all need medical evaluation, nutrition supplementation, and rest. Dismissed. We dragged ourselves toward the exit, slow, painful. But somehow, despite everything, I felt good, accomplished. Like I had learned something fundamental about the universe, and my place in it. Devan caught up with me in the corridor. Hey, Mep. Good work in there. That alliance move was clever. It did not help me win. Winning is not always the point. Sometimes the point is learning. You learn to think tactically under pressure, to make alliances when needed, to adapt your strategy. Those are human skills. I am not human. No. But you are learning to think like one when it counts. That is almost as good. He clapped me on what he probably thought was a shoulder, but was actually just part of my ambulatory mass, then headed off down the corridor. I made my way back to my quarters slowly. Other cadets passed me in the halls. Word had spread about the training session. People stared. Some looked impressed. Others looked terrified. Zix messaged me. Survived. Barely. Everything hurts. Worth it? I thought about that. About the sparring. About learning to adapt. About refusing to accept limitations. Yes, I sent back. Absolutely worth it. You are insane. Maybe, or maybe I am learning to think like a human. Same thing. That night, alone in my quarters, I reviewed the training recordings on my personal device, watched the matches, studied the movements, saw the patterns of adaptation. The scanner had said threat level crimson. Do not engage. Kira had looked at that assessment and decided to engage anyway. And she was right. Because engaging, learning, adapting, refusing to quit, that was how you survived. That was how you won. That was how you became better than you were. Humans had figured that out long before joining the Galactic Defense Initiative. Now they were teaching the rest of us. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what the galaxy needed. I shut down my device, settled into my sleeping pool, let the water support my mass while my mind processed everything I had learned. Tomorrow there would be more training, more impossible demonstrations, more humans showing us that limitations were just suggestions. And I would be there, learning, adapting, engaging anyway, because that was the human way. And it turned out it was a pretty good way. The scanner could warn all it wanted. We were engaging, all of us, and the universe was about to learn what happened when you combined human adaptability with galactic diversity. Probably something amazing, possibly something terrifying, definitely something unprecedented. I smiled, or did the molluscoid equivalent of smiling, which was a pleasant color shift across my chromatophores. Threat level crimson indeed. Bring it on.